Ooh, on map number 1, I feel like I mentioned how good Terror is. I mentioned how good Nora is and St. Claus as well. For Puppy Thieves, I think in this particular map, because we are expecting that Phoenix to come out from Zoriental, she's also a very heavy hitter player, but to be able to maximize that usage of that Phoenix, I wanted to have an eye on how Puppy Thieves are looking to manage a lot of the alt point control, trying to get those orbs down, trying to farm up into that Phoenix ultimate, and seeing how well Zoriental is going to be using those flashes, especially up against, that double controller composition, trying to break through a lot of those smokes, those setups. And even just like, I think, the wall usage from the Phoenix there as well. Like the Blaze has been a really popular piece of utility when it comes down to trying to scale onto that site, cutting some of those crossfires up. So I got my eyes definitely on how Zoriental is going to be managing that Phoenix kit.
I like that. And I think it's just one of those things with Phoenix right now. It is not just about the efficiency of the flash, which is very important, but it's more about also just farming up the orbs and getting yourself as many run it backs as possible. So the rosters and the compositions will be as expected here. Nothing changing, nothing out of the ordinary. The other thing that we hadn't really mentioned, though, talking about Puppy Thieves is, we want to talk about flexibility and movability. Yeah, you talk about the double duelist, but keep in mind, they're not running a true lockdown sentinel. They just got the chamber in the mix. So when it comes to this first defensive side, I think maybe a lot of pressure here to see if Puppy Thieves can get away with early map presence, so that way they can actually stack on top of a site if they need to, just knowing that their only real information gathering tool is the Sova.
Yeah, I think that's a really big shout, especially with how annoying, Noya is going to be on those lurks. Like, as that Viper, having that wall up over towards that A lobby side and trying to get that space. And even if she's not actually pushing it, just conditioning that pressure in general and forcing that utility out from Puppy Thieves is going to be really important, I think, to see how they're going to be approaching denying that space, trying to deny those lurk opportunities and those inserts. I'm excited to see how this matchup is going to go. I think based on the posturing that we're seeing right now, though, for Puppy Thieves, I'm anticipating maybe a little bit of a mid-peak to come through, see where SRG want to look to poke and prod as they lean outside of this side.
Yeah, and that's the other part about this is you're going to have the ability for Claws to kind of play at an early aggressive contact peak and then can teleport to safety. And you can see that safety window is over towards window, oddly enough. But here we go. Barriers dropped. We've got Puppy Thieves taking on Shopify Rebellion Gold. Let's get it on Haven. And Scary Shark is going to be the first person potentially under threat here if there is a hit, or at least any intel gathering over towards sewer. But Shopify is looking for some aggression of their own.
Yeah, Scary Shark gets spotted out there. It is an interesting smoke just to really slow down and eat up that time in that early round. Now, SRG, they walk for the reclear into short. Players still watching over towards A long here as well. Already a rotation to be called in by Puppy Thieves. You can see Alexis sitting so far back for the rotate.
Yikes. That is a very early first blood. 60 seconds still on the clock here. Oh yeah, able to see one rotating in. The relay bolt gives that away, of course, on top of that. And yep, that's the right call. They're going to rotate another player in. Let's just bail out and see if we can stretch the map somewhere else. Alexis working on a little bit of space over towards B. First to check it will be Oriental. Gets lots of damage into Dono, but the follow-up not fully there initially. Oriental, really good curveball flash to keep themselves alive. Now the help is here. It's just not the can you actually win the battles. 2v1 situation as Noya is the last one left, but Terror is low. And they've lost track of Noya completely.
One enemy remaining.
First shot good. Miara sitting up in the left corner. Does Noya check this? Snap and find the kill. Oh, gets the shot, but not onto the head, and Miara is able to take the opening pistol.
Right down to the wire, though. Right down to 15 HP, but a big pistol round for WOOF to be able to pick up now. You have the Outlaw online here for St. Claus on top of that. I think that what's going to be interesting about this matchup here as well, Shift, is I think that Alexis has great ideas when it comes down to that calling, down to the IGL, but when it comes down to Haven, because she's on that KJ, it does become a little bit more awkward, especially when you're not going to see her always playing with the pack, when she is going to be looking for, to cut off some of those like flanks that we might be expecting out from WOOF. And when you are disconnected from the rest of the team in that kind of sense, as great of a caller she may be, it does feel less comfortable in a lot of moments because you don't necessarily know what's going on, and it relies on the information for the rest of the team.
Ooh, speaking of, how about a little bit of a burst on towards C? Two will drop. Whoa, but a hot hands over the top. That'll work. Now down to a 3v3, but the Bulldog has been collected. Lydia and Alexis still working on classics. Paranoia gonna miss on Oriental. First shots, not quite there. Sarah's able to find one. Can you collect that Bulldog? That is the current goal. Yes, Alexis will have it. Pops out, little double swing coming through. Able to find the 1v2 at the end for the Thrifty on SRG.
And it's crazy how good SRG are at converting these rounds. They've, I think, historically just been so consistent at being able to find the eco up against the anti-eco in round 2 if they lose that pistol. And that is a huge round conversion to take it 1-to-1 to find that advantage early on. Now, for the side of Puppy Thieves, they obviously don't have a bonus to work with. I'm curious to see what the approach is going to be from them. They won't be looking for that death ball that we just saw from SRG. Instead, trying to play in pairs of 2. Maybe get some picks here and there with some of these contact plays on either side of the map here between Garage and A Long. SRG, they're more than happy to work it a little bit slower.
Little stack right here, though. Hold on. Nice opening shots from Noya, but the follow-up is good for Scary Shark. That will be a weapon collected. Dark cover to make sure of it. Brings a lot of firepower, honestly, to the table here. For Puppy Thieves, Miara just going to let the Owl Drone delay any play over towards A Long. Not sure if that really sees much, if anything at all.
I think it did spot Dodo Nut's hip, actually. That's why you kind of see the reposition over towards short, where they're trying to get a little bit more space, contain into short, and try and flood back in if they decide to only take long, anticipating that SRG won't be executing through that lane.
Well, yeah, do you expect these 2 players here? Wow, nice shots from Dodo. Terror will drop Oriental, goes uncovered in the back, but tries to hit the running back. There is nowhere to go there. Alexis will deal with both iterations of the Phoenix. And the last player left alive is Scary Shark, who's gonna try to work around behind the play. Alarm bot in the way. And that will, of course, keep Shopify Rebellion gold aimed and privy for any potential play on the long flank. And realistically, there is just no chance you do much with this if you're Scary Shark.
No, I think right now for Nora, it's more of a plan of, okay, well, what can I get out of this as far as, you know, trying to get some weapons out of the hands of SRG, knowing that these 3 players are going to be building up into that economy, considering they did win out on that second round. That's why you see the pressure into that A lobby to force them into her crosshair here in CT, but not going to pan out on the side of Scary Shark. She's not going to be able to get anything more. For SRG, though, again, I think it's kind of wild how much Alexis is already fragging out. Like, you can see her building so quickly into that lockdown, which is so key to cycle into early on.
That's a good spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, just to kind of give us an early thing to keep an eye on right now, Shopify Rebellion Gold's not missing much right now. They are shooting and shooting straight. Looking really solid at the moment. Full weapons though in the mix now here for really both teams. This would be technically the bonus for Shopify Rebellion, but considering the success off the pistol plus the anti-eco and the success of the most recent round, they choose to upgrade fully and match Puppy Thieves in full force. So this will be our first major indication of what both teams realistically want to do. And kind of the same idea. You see it there for a moment in the minimap. Terror is just using the high gear to shoulder check in through mid. So that's what you're talking about in terms of information gathering. Early owl drone, high gear check. That's about the limit of what you have.
Smart move.
Unreal.
She's so consistent when it comes to those openings, right? I mean, Dodo Nut, undeniably the best Neon player that we have right now in Game Changers. And her consistency at that top level has just been absolutely insane. I think an average of a 2.0 KD, you know? Like, yeah, the solo peaks there.
But what other option is there? That's the thing about it. Your owl drone's gone. You don't want to spend the recon bolt. So you have to try to give little shoulders, and Dodo Nut is taking off more than shoulders right now. Lydia holding on to a Paranoia that pretty much will win the round if they get a sound cue. Nanoswarm will block the entryway first. Paranoia will cut across, slowing things down. Oriental waiting for the curveball. This will be the last ability to jump on through. You're able to get one. Make that a second. Good snap. Now the last one left, and there's just, too many targets to shoot at. Shopify Rebellion, perfect on their post plant. Now up big, 3-1.
Yeah, a nice attempt from Terra there, but like you were saying, SRG, when you give them the opportunity to set up comfortably into the post, they are going to have every single crossfire line set up. that you could possibly think of. It's so difficult to break through, and especially when you are down in those numbers. Overall, now for the side of Puppy Thieves, it's kind of tough. I want to see a little bit more proactivity, I feel like, from them. Yes, we've seen those shoulders over towards long, but it didn't really feel like there was a set plan for how they wanted to handle that fight, if that makes sense. It more so, you know, jiggling for that information like you had talked about in the previous round. But I do like this push up now, having this insert a little bit deeper. Terror getting the cross over towards that short sideline as well. Just gives a bit more of that extra security there for Puppy Thieves and information on where SRG might be sitting.
Dangerous opener right now. Rebellion are taking control of everything. Uncharacteristically, sloppy shots from Noya has Terror able to find first blood without taking a ton of damage. So that'll be nice. It's going to force Shopify to extend and kind of keep some pressure at A long, trying to guard that weapon just a touch. I'm sure they may have juggled it back as well, but regardless, this existential pressure on the outsides of the map is potentially going to be rewarding here for WOOF. Chance right here. Full swing. That'll work.
Ooh.
Okay, here we go. 5v3.
Still tucked into the side here as well. St. Paul's going to get cleared out.
Oh, it was attempted to, but the second shot lands. So it's on to Alexis and Dodo. Relay bolt for the defense. Going to work. Oriental. It was possible to curve ball in the mix. Alexis able to shrug off the effects. Find one, but nothing more. There we go. How about that for Puppy Thieves? Really clean openers. Follow up perfect from the chamber to eluding line of sight. And we're back to within one.
And that's more of what we wanted to see. I think what we were talking about in that eco round was what we were hoping to see a bit more of in these buys. That's the transition that I want to see from there, right? Like, again, that proactivity when it came down to the space that they wanted to take, a bit more intentionality behind those peaks. And huge 2 picks, honestly, from Terra and St. Claus to make that round doable there for Puppy Thieves. I think those initial ones definitely kind of set the tone for this round. Now, Tool to False online, and we watching those sight line here towards C long. Lydia is definitely not going to look to peek that. I think just anticipating that walk up that we had seen from St. Claus previously and seeing if she could punish it if it did happen again.
Similar breakoff here for Shopify Rebellion. Lydia in a position to potentially make some contact and then teleport to play if they would like to. Oriental, a little poke up through doors will actually delete the sentry turret. That will keep Shopify maybe a little bit privy to what's happening at mid-map. 60 seconds less than that on the clock. Gotta make a call.
I like the insert at the very least here for Dodonut. You know, you got a bit of information gathering. We know that Terra is the one who's looking to jiggle peek the angle.
Placing swarm grenade.
The rest of the team, they're actually going to take this look to regroup over towards mid.
The one time you don't do the jiggle peek, you try to take the battle. Under Syria was supposed to be there to assist, but it's not timed perfectly. Good rotation though from St. Claus to find one. Scary Shark a second, but where is the hit? WOOF are still a little bit cautious on both of the sides of the map right now, and that dark cover will force Dodo to have to dive on into essentially nothing. There's the sound cue. Shock darts are out. Dodo for one, but the return is even better for the side of WOOF. And Lydia can only do so much, so they will teleport out of here. And by teleport, I mean walk. And we're going to be tied at 3.
That timer on the clock is something that we're going to definitely have to look out for. You had called it out into the mid round, just taking a little too long. And there was the idea there, you know, they wanted to pivot over towards the B site. There was enough time for it, but just were not prepared for the off to already be watching that sight line. And the smokes hadn't been down for the cover because they were trying to bait that A push to come in, drawing those rotations over. Fortunately, the fight doesn't go their way. All tied up now, though. You have Terror with the overdrive in hand here as well alongside that judge. You know that that is something that is terrifying to see at all times with the way that she is going to be using movement to help her get those picks.
Little opening toggle, but nothing crazy here in round number 7. But an important round nonetheless. You lose this one out if you're Shopify, you'll be in some financial trouble for at least most of the members. Other side of that is you have 5 ults to play with. Little feel out towards A long looking there. And it looks like this is going to end on the C site. Teleport for Claws is back over towards Window Cubby, which is under threat. The trademark currently in the way. And Oriental may curveball peek this. We're just peeking. Relay Bolt's going to come through first, though. And the lockdown will be set in the corner. Well, firewall first. Curveball, no hot hands behind that, and everyone's going to bail off the site if you are WOOF.
Really great Hunter's Fury from Sarah as well. Not just to try and catch out any players squatting out, but to deny the push onto that lockdown. 3 ultimates now invested into this round here from SRG, cutting off the line of retake here into CT.
Watch your eye.
Well, breaking through this Viper's Pit's going to be extremely difficult. I'll drone over towards Garage, but our cover will block that. Terrace is the first one to try to jump on into the mix. Not going to find much. The Shopify Rebellion's post plan is looking very solid. Yeah, this is just too much to deal with. Dark cover on one side, Viper's Pit on the other. Very easy, very casual, but I will say, pretty expensive in terms of ultimate usage for Shopify.
Early enough into the half, though, at the very least, I think SRG, like you were shouting out, even though they would have still been able to muster a full buy into this round had they lost it, it would have been tight, and they want to, you know, have a bit more of that comfort that they can work with as we move later into this half. I really like the relay bolt that we saw Dodonut throw into Garage Window there as well, just before Lexi throws down the lockdown, just really ensuring that that flash, that push back in to try and break it wouldn't be able to come in time. Now, we also have, you know, Run It Back is now back up and available here for the side of Zoriental. We saw
Don't hold back.
how daringly she was willing to use it. I'm curious to see if it's going to be like an initial mid push off the information that might be gathered.
Combo will push Scary Shark off the generator. Sarah's just looking for an extra charge towards a second Hunter's Fury. Speaking of ults, Oriental is playing up through Garage right now with a Run It Back. And once more, kind of getting into the mid stages of this round, it's a late feel out for Shopify. Just to clear main, and what a shot from Claws. Takes off the head of Noya. And that'll put a lot of pressure here into Shopify in terms of executing with only 3.
Yeah, and that also means that Lydia has to scurry over to the rest of the team right now with Noya down, not having that additional cover to provide. She has to get close enough to be able to smoke. And comfortably at that, they're going to pause. It's a bit of information seeking here with the From the Shadows. Straight stuff into heaven.
St. Claus. Wow. What a shot off the return. Oh my goodness. 3 in the round. Terror able to find Alexis just on the corner of the dark cover. But it's the Chamber, the difference maker, to give Puppy Thieves their 4th, tie the game up. And we're going to stay in a pretty gritty battle here with full weapons still available with the overdrive and Donut for Shopify.
I think for Shopify Rebellion now, the big question is, how are they going to look to deal with this operator in the hands of St. Claus? Because the angles that she's been able to get and the angles that she's willing to stay on, extend on, knowing that she can get a pick and get that teleport out, has been absolutely sublime and a key piece of success that we've seen here for WOOF so far.
Opener there, not going to land. Shopify may try to change the tempo up a little bit here, knowing that Claus is currently on the C site. Dodo not popping the overdrive yet, but feels like, yeah, there's going to be a time for it, and it is right here. Really go first, trying to make their way through, sliding out, finding the first. Follow-up on Scary Shark is good. Numbers to SRG plus the site.
Love that. The fact that you do have just so much solve potential that's available here. Run It Back already out.
Got to find something with it, but honestly, Oriental does not clear out much of the space around the site. Claws up top, going to be blocked out by the dark cover. Going to have to make a decision on what to do with that op now. It looks like this retake, if it's even going to happen at all, that'd be by way of maybe an overdrive from Terror, who slides on in very similarly to how they had a couple of rounds prior. Lydia's right there to follow up. Nothing on Oriental's second life, and Claus is going to value the big purchase and try to get the heck out of here.
Unfortunately, the flash is not connecting the way as Oriental would have wanted to help Terror out into that retake scenario. But again, I think a lot of the success that we've seen out from WOOF has been these rounds where they're able to just full stop deny SRG from even getting that plant down, right? Getting those picks early on, but as we mentioned at the beginning of this map, once SRG does get that spike initiated, once they are in those post-plant positions, it is just so hard to break up those crossfires, to break back into sight when that utility cycling makes it difficult to even try and honestly walk in at any time. And the fact that the run it back wasn't able to get what they were looking for just made it all that much harder since it didn't even yield a pick.
I like the tempo, the tempo change. Getting us back into a position of map control for Shopify, not allowing the scope to take over, but a different position this time for St. Claus, playing over towards mid. A couple of stray shots from Scary Shark. Have Sarah already down to nearly half health, and just a pure walk up from Miara.
Go, go, go!
Gives you the intention that Puppy Thieves are looking to kind of crash down on some of this play a bit.
And taking down that turret, it makes it a bit more comfortable for St. Claus to stay in that aggro cubby angle. You know, there's a little bit more pressure there for SRG. They might even want to look to re-clear into med as well, so that could be just one of those moments where they're trying to funnel a pick into the operator.
Nice shot from St. Claus, though, once again here at mid. Look at the walk down from Noya, getting space over through sewer. Problem is, are you going to anticipate this double in front of A lobby or not? Error. Trying to set up just to do it all themselves, and absolutely will. Little mini 1v3. Noya, the last one standing, will find Claus in the rotation into A, but everything else from here
30 seconds
will be a hard-pressed find. Aldrone blocking. Gonna get the tag, not that it makes much of a difference. Firewall is up. Noya stuck in the corner. And that will be the round, as Noya is down to 25 health. Goodness gracious, this has been one hell of a back and forth.
It really hasn't. Honestly, I wasn't expecting those hot hands to reach that deep into that corner based on the angle that I was thrown at, but the Kobe Molly to come out from Zoriental in that regard. It was good timing there from Noya, but the re-aggression has been nice from WOOF. I really see, I think, the adjustments that we were hoping to see from them on defense, you know, a bit more of that proactivity. Those re-clears, it felt like really early on when we saw SRG chaining those 3 rounds in a row, it was a bit more passive play, a bit more timid play. They were giving them a lot more respect. And now WOOF, it seems like they've really stepped into their play style and that comfort that we can expect from this team.
I like that call. Okay. It just feels like we continue on with this back and forth affair of Shopify show us something convincing. Puppy Thieves give us a convincing response the next round. Hop out. Oh, shoulder peek. Dodo Nut's going to force out the quick teleport. And that's actually where he ends up doing too much at mid. Just again, taking the tempo straight into the action. First, you're going to get queued up by Sarah. Initial exchange on the sight is going to go the way of Scary Shark, who just gets tucked into a corner. Dark cover trying to block off the rest of the reinforcements. Really good one-way pistol out, able to find the headshot, but Lexus is low, meaning that Terra can come back in with the finger guns. Just down to Noya. Still got the opportunity to play out this 1v2, but Miara, last one in, will find the final elimination, and Puppy Thieves will get to 6-1 before the half.
And that whole round was Nora, honestly. Scary Shark, the fact that she's able to get 2 on that hard execution from SRG when you have the zoning ultimate coming out from Sarah. She's popping that Hunter's Fury to try and deny that flood back into sight, but the off-angle backside made all of the difference, and you shout out the drop smoke that went down too. Just really perfectly played for the rest of the team to be able to clean things up. If she had fallen, that could have been a completely different round. You know, SRG, they've set up into that post plan. They're going to get initiated, but now the advantage in the hands of WOOF. Early information being sought with the lineup outside of A lobby. Noya will be shooting that down. And the aggro angle here from St. Claus. I like the dynamicism that we've seen from her thus far. Just putting that pressure. SRG know that at any given round, she could be walked up C long, sometimes playing a bit further back and making it a lot harder to try and clear that turret.
Well, the weaponry a little bit limited here for Shopify to try to get this to a 6-6 half. In terms of the metrics for Puppy Thieves, both sides of the spike, they do an incredible job, but technically they are a little bit stronger on the offensive side in this stage. Don't really want to even talk about Shopify's because at least when they've played in Swiss, they've only played it once. So numbers are not really representative. Not first blood. Terror follows up with 2-3. Can they get more?
Oh my God.
Goodness. Just lays down the trigger, holds it at head height, and Shopify get torn to mincemeat, leaving
left.
Alexis last one left alive. But a plant and an elimination would give them a chance to possibly get a lockdown, but it has to do a little bit of a dance with the Hunter's Fury purse. That stops the initial spike plant. Paranoia up top, able to find the first and the second. Is there a little bit of magic here for the 1v1? Tries to trigger it once again. Good prediction. Shot comes through. Alexis has to make the call. Sees the weapon, but Miara wins the battle. And it'll be Puppy Thieves to the 7-5 half.
Such an incredible
Switching
try from
sides.
Alexis in the 1v3, but that was insane out of Terror. The fact that she's able to get 4 there, I honestly thought she was getting the ace clip. I'm not gonna lie, into short, but just absolutely insane stuff. That preparation when it came down to a lot of those plays. I think that this is something that we kind of see within the style of WOOF. They like to have those contact setups with one person swinging off of each other, that kind of brawly bait situation, and working out very nicely to have a lead now here into their map.
Huge. So a pistol that could give a lot of separation to Puppy Thieves is what's on deck. What a first half. Really feels like every round from round 5 to round 12 was winnable for either side. Well, some of them were a little bit more convincing, but they were fun nonetheless. Quick dash here for Puppy Thieves. On towards the B site. Recon bolt deep. Gives the space to jump on in. Laws is not a part of this play, lurking through C long right now, and this is a fake plant, trying to see if they can bait out Shopify. They're going to try to potentially go C, but Alexis is holding the door, and there's help here. And all of a sudden, Sarah finds their way behind the play, and this was just a little bit too cute from Puppy Thieves. And yeah, the read is in, even though Claude's able to find a couple, only one more shot and the headhunter exists. And yeah, that's about right. Yeah, I love the idea, but felt a little cute considering how clean the entry was.
Yeah, you kind of have to be kind of prepared, I think, for the fact that it was a little bit too easy. It was a little too easy to get into that space, but a really nice response there from SRG. I do agree the idea there was cool, but SRG were just much quicker to react and understand what WOOF were trying to accomplish in that initial pistol round. Now, with that, it makes it a lot more feasible for SRG to close this gap early on and get to a tie here into this next round, which is kind of what we're expecting. That Outlaw to also do a lot of damage here on the side of DodoNet, but I think you see the setup here in SRG, they're already expecting this B push. Look how Lexi has her set up with these mollies, just trying to deny that push into the back site here if they were going to go fast.
Well, once again, just a little show of force with utility, but not a full commitment.
Nice drive.
Defense is perfectly positioned for this, and DodoNet will make sure there's no lurk over towards A long. I'll drone to clear out mid steps. And look at SRG, perfectly prepared for the rotation through the garage tunnel. Paranoia cuts across, stops the play in its track. Terror trying to still force the issue because honestly, you kind of have to. And Miara's little pock shots will just have Shopify playing keep away. Any rotation out, nor through.
You've got a high-low here. If you try to exit garage, really not much that WOOF can do when it comes down to isolating the fight. Mainly just Sarah, but she can quickly duck back behind this wall.
30 seconds left.
Little shoulder from Sarah, gets the read that they're out. Dodo will connect not once, but twice on the cross back in towards C-Link. So 7-7, bonus round with some formidability for Shopify coming up. WOOF will have the full purchase, at least mostly, but honestly speaking, they have not hit that many shots, nor had a chance to plant, so they're a little limited on this purchase.
I think for me, the conversation now that WOOF is on the attacking side kind of brings us back to what we were discussing during that agent select, the differences in these compositions, right? This new age style from the side of Puppy Thieves with the Phoenix versus the SRG kind of classic double controller composition where they play very defaulty. At the side of WOOF, they like to go for those very bursty executes alongside the flash to set Terror up. Much different tempo from what we saw in the first half.
Sarah can hear all the footsteps around them. They're not the first one to drop. Sarah cannot connect on the backside of the site. Plus a couple of smoke shots will come through. That is a very clean take from WOOF. and they will finish off Alexis without too much concern. The bonus gets shut down. WOOF get one more to the good. Shopify will have full purchase coming into this next round.
You got the run it back already up here for Zoriental into this round. I think huge win condition here for the side of WOOF as well, just to be able to, depending on, you know, what site they want to hit towards, it looks like that lean over towards that A side right now, but the run it back's also great when it comes down to, you know, seeking out that killjoy utility from Alexis, trying to take it out early and force those mollies out a bit earlier on. Inside, actually, not the default situation. They're trying to fake this hit over towards the A side with the pressure from the run it back to pull those rotations as the spike leans over towards C.
Well, hit will once again
I'm out of here.
get some early positioning. Thank you to the run it back, but yeah, good block right here from Shopify. No contest at A long. Her ball comes through, and Oriental will grab at least one in response. Number still to the 4v3. On the C site, no one checks the back at all. Their cover also going to allow some extra freedom for Alexis to rotate in. Niara will find one, but nothing more. And that just felt like an oversight right there from Puppy Thieves to not even, first of all, notice that, yeah, we have no one day long, but beyond that, to not even check the backside of the C site.
I don't even know if it's necessarily, it's hard for me to say if I would necessarily call it an oversight. I think that it's more of a really good response from SRG, right? You see the run it back being forced into that A site where they're clearing out all of that space, and the reply from SRG is to retake that long control that you were just shouting out, but not just, you know, be holding it. They walk all the way up. It was a great read, understanding that it was going to be one of those, you know, attempts at a fake situation, especially with the fact that you didn't have the rest of the team flooding on, and it's just very well read there. I think not having the layers that WOOF that exactly would have wanted, I think that a play like that works a bit better into the mid round, to be honest. I know they did a bit of that conditioning early round to try and show, okay, when we are going for these hard executes, we are always hitting that site, but it becomes a bit more tough when you haven't dealt with that kind of like utility on the left side of the map where Alexis has that KJ set up, right? To have that information to continue to hold there. We're in a bit of a tech pause right now. We will give you guys the information when we receive it in our ears, whenever possible. But man, Shift, this is such a close matchup between these two teams, and you can really feel, I think, how well both callers are reading into the strategies of how each other likes to play.
Yeah, it's one of those matchups that, again, I said this earlier, but I think it merits, you know, reiterating. As soon as one team does something great, there's a response from the other. And it's been multifaceted where you've had, again, I think it starts with Shopify Rebellion coming out hot. And for Puppy Thieves, they put together a solid response, get a little aggressive of their own. Works out nicely. Able to kill off a lot of the time very strategically to force Shopify to have to hit late in rounds. Doesn't work out. Round 7, Shopify decides, let's just hit the gas. Works out beautifully. Okay, can we go back to normal? No, because WOOF has changed. It's just like this constant back and forth, like this negotiation until we got that 3-round stretch at the end that, again, just feels like Puppy Thieves made the proper reactions and responses. But can they do it here on the offensive front? Because now we're looking at a very similar start where Shopify is going to be up 1, most likely, pending that the pistols don't provide some magic. And so far, outside of the bonus, Puppy Thieves really haven't given us too much to consider from the attack.
Yeah, it's been a lot of that conditioning from the high tempo hits, like you were shouting out there. How quickly and aggressively, like they go for those executions. Pardon me, I can barely speak.
Quick hit on the way, but Dodo up top. He will find one. Oh, and the last bullet on the spray is going to work out for another. Oriental will persist, though, just outside of sewers. We'll have a rifle, plus you have the sheriff for Scary Shark, so not out of the woods yet, or Shopify, but as soon as this dark cover dissipates, the action will surely unfold. And here we go. Here's the walk-up. We should. Third ball helped.
One enemy remaining.
Counter flash wall didn't work out initially, but good save from Noya. Shopify will hold flawlessly.
Now I'm kind of looking to see, you know, a little bit more depth in the playbook here for the side of Puppy Thieves, right? Again, calling back to a lot of this fast tempo, quick hits that we've seen from them thus far. They've only been able to win out on their anti-eco round there in round 15. And since then, it feels like SRG, they've just been so keen on having, you know, a read, an understanding of, for the most part, it's going to be all 5 players invested onto these sites. Maybe you have a bit of like a 4-1, but it's something that we've rarely seen now. A bit of a different story with St. Claus, trying to make a bit of a presence on the C side of the map as well, but look how quickly, once again, we'll want to show that presence here on A.
It's not, excuse me, it's not terrifying Shopify. It does put a little bit more sense of urgency to this scale deep into mid, but honestly, for Shopify, they're feeling pretty cautious about overcommitting, largely due to the fact that there's no full forced attack. Ah, what a find that is from Claus. Now the fast lane goes up, the hit towards A can come through, but the Aldrons have to hit the back on short side, Terra to stay alive. Oriental from the other side will find one before the trade comes out, and now Scary Shark takes that position. Looking to possibly teleport up top, but no. And instead, it'll be a post-plant 4v2.
Yeah, I think Scary Shark was definitely thinking about it, but then realized, okay, you know what? 4v2, let's just play numbers, not risk getting picked off and turning it into a 3v2 scenario. Lydia still has a paranoia available to cut up one of these times.
Oh, that's just tough. Yara's barrel shows. Lydia gets 2. Falls on in. Trade from Alexis. 1v1. Claus playing over towards Sewer. Does Alexis guess correctly? Gonna try to stick. Is there a check on it? Gets to halfway. There's a secondary pull. Now Alexis guesses absolutely perfectly.
So funny.
And that's a huge round swing to Shopify, now up 2.
That's an insane round to be picking up. Lydia put in so much work being able to get those 2 off the information that Alexis could find, seeing the barrel of the gun on the side of default. But in a 2v4 scenario, that is not a round that Puppy Thieves really could be affording to lose whatsoever. You think about the ult economy that's coming into this here as well. SRG now cycling into ults to match the side of Puppy Thieves. A timeout to be called here on the side of Puppy Thieves. Tanny probably having a conversation with the team to see, you know, what they want to do when it comes down to the approach. Part of me is a little bit surprised that it's taken kind of this long, but maybe it's been, you know, moments where he's liked the calling that's been happening, the adjustments that have been made, but it's at a point now where the intervention is necessary, especially after losing a round out like that.
Well, the urgency surrounding this map has just been kicked up a notch. I'll tell you that much. Because now you're in a position, down 2, talking about potentially force buying here maybe, because you do have a couple of full rifles available, plus the ultimates. I wouldn't be surprised to see Scary purchase, and then we're going to commit to a tour and commit to the overdrive this round. This is a huge round right here for WOOF. The only issue with this purchase is that they should also, of course, know they're going into a Viper's Pit, they're going into a lockdown. So you have to trust that you're going to get enough early presence to force those out, and Miara can do some work with the 100 security counter.
We'll have to see what the plan is here. Again, another one of these 5-player splits with the run it back over towards this A site. More than happy to play the retake, though, on side of SRG with the lockdown that you had been mentioning here. And the aggression into CT, but not quite enough to have, you know, a late lurk coming in.
What about this, though? You're just not even going to bother with the lockdown. You're just going to go ahead and hit the paranoia and just dive on through from heaven. So you get the sight back, at least largely speaking. But how all of a sudden, you're starting to get the eliminations back. 2v3. Hunter Sphere going to come through over through Sewer side. You have to cancel this if you're Alexis. Able to find the first, not able to transfer for the second. Down to the 1v1. But Miara is so far away. Lydia going to get it at least to halfway. Thinking about the full setup. Thinking about the full hold. Who gets it? Shopify do with the defuse. It was as tight as it could possibly be. But Shopify are able to hold, stick, and get the defusal for an 11-8 count.
Just absolutely insane. Throwing down that lockdown in a position, too, where Alexis knew that they were going to try and swing through that smoke, was so prepared for it with that crossfire. And it's just wild. They fully took advantage of the blaze wall that was thrown up by Zoriental to help with that fast flood on site. It was completely cutting off the right side, allowing them to flood on clear into the left side very comfortably, knowing that those short players can keep them.
Wow, what a turn. Oh, Dodo in some trouble here. trying to get away and will successfully be able to do so thanks from a little bit of help of Sarah. Viper's Pit at C long will congest that area, so it looks like for WOOF, having spent almost every single ultimate, they are going to have to either find a finish on A or find something opening over towards B.
This could be a really important fight here. If St. Claus takes down Wadadaa, that opens up the round here for the side of WOOF. Screen up, denies the angle, but dropped. First blood into the hands of Puppy Thieves. The operator being out of the equation definitely makes this more comfortable here.
And you have to keep in mind that you can't drop the Viper's Pit yet, so I'm actually really surprised that Puppy Thieves didn't use that as an opportunity to burst on towards the site. It looks like they are going to rotate back over to B. Alexis will step in. All the proactivity to re-clear sewer for Shopify will give Alexis the knowledge that she's got to keep her gun up and try to hold for as long as possible. Great first shot. Not able to find the second. 100 stream to cut across the site. This could do a lot of damage. It finds a shot onto one. Lydia from the flank shuts down Claus, who has been such an X factor. So the 3v3. Noya still playing close, waiting for her allies to open up some attention and potentially peek from this angle. Curveball comes through. Now is probably the time for Noya to consider going with that recon bolt. And that will work. Wow. Really, really well constructed from Shopify. And that will put them on to match point, or probably map point.
Look at how quickly they react. Shift. The fact that that A long walk-up happened so fast as the Lexi is calling that flood onto that B site. They're trying to get that line for Sarah to use that Hunter's Fury, whittling down the players on WOOF to so low HP. The defense has been impenetrable thus far from SRG. Even when WOOF are able to get that plant down, the retakes are so formulaic and just so well synergized on the side of SRG. It makes it really hard for WOOF to find those answers in the moment with all of the chaos. Like, it feels like there hasn't really been a round where they've gone to actually get that plant down and set up all that comfortably into a match.
Oh, here we go. Quick action. Looks like Puppy Thieves are just going to throw something to the wall and see if it sticks. Their map pick getting a little out of hand. Nice shot from Dodo. Not going to miss for that long. Sarah Follins, another we're falling. Dodo, Shorty, doesn't need it. St. Claus trying to clutch things up now. This would be a 1v4. Has the vacancy to plant. Doesn't realize it.
Yeah.
This is a bullet. And it won't work. Shopify.
Win.
Come out. 13-8. And what a start.